Okay, so now we've talked about what the different shapes are, where they come from, how they're built, how to make them major and minor, what are the most useful shapes, what shapes do we not like very much, and all that good stuff. But now let's talk about how these shapes work together, how to put this into a musical context. We're going to start with the C shape, again, because it's the most common shape. What you want to do, I've built an exercise where you do what's called harmonizing the major scale. But we're going to be harmonizing the major scale with arpeggios using different chord shapes. I know that sounds very confusing, but just follow me here. It's not that hard. We're going to be doing this in the key of E major. So let's start by playing an E major arpeggio using the C shape. Now, just to kind of clarify a little bit of what that means, the C shape has its root on the A string. So since we're doing this in the key of E major, we want to find an E on the A string, and then we're going to use our fourth finger to play that note. Now, for those of you who don't know how to find the E on the A string, I'll be making a video of how to figure out what the notes on the neck are a little bit easier. But for now, I'll just tell you it's the 7th fret of the A string. So put your fourth finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and that's an E. Now we're going to be playing the C major arpeggio shape, but we're in the key of E major because we started on an E. So just remember this shape, here's the neck chart for it, and go ahead and play that. Now the next note of the E major scale is an F sharp, and we're going to play a minor arpeggio for that F sharp. If you really want to know why that happens, leave a comment on the video. I want to make a video explaining how the major scale works, but I wouldn't want to do it unless people wanted to see it, unless they cared why. So the F sharp is the 9th fret of the A string, and we're going to play the C minor arpeggio shape. So far we have 2 arpeggios, E major using the C shape and F sharp minor using the C minor shape. For now, we'll just play each one individually, forward and backward, and just do that back to back, like this. The next one's a G sharp minor. We start with our fourth finger on the 11th fret of the A string, and we play the C minor shape. And the next one's an A major arpeggio using the C shape. So just start with your fourth finger on the 12th fret and play the major arpeggio. So let's put those all together. Those first 4 chords, they sound like this. So you can hear that we're adding some musicality to it now. These shapes are locking into one another. So let's just keep going and learn the rest of them. The next shape is going to be a B major arpeggio, and you start with your fourth finger on the 14th fret of the A string. And then we end up with a C sharp minor arpeggio. Start with your fourth finger on the 16th fret of the A string and play a minor shape. And then we come across a diminished shape. Now, we haven't talked about these at all. They're really fun and they're really crucial. They sound great in context, but they have a lot of variation on the guitar neck. The way we tune the guitar, there's a lot of ways to go about doing a diminished shape. So what I'll do here is provide the way that I like to do it and the chord charts for it, and we'll talk more about the diminished shape another time. So what we need to do next is a D sharp diminished chord. So I'll be using this arpeggio shape, and it sounds and looks like this. And then we end up back on an E. It's going to be the 19th fret of the A string, and you just play it like normal. Okay, so let's do what we did earlier and play all those shapes individually, but back to back. It'll be like this. So it all sounds pretty good. Everything's locking in together. We've got a scale that we're basing everything out of. It's coming together musically. So we're going to harmonize the major scale for the C major shape, the A major shape, and the E major shape. To make this all go quicker, I'm going to explain how these all harmonize. You start on a major arpeggio, and you play that. Then you move up 2 frets, and then you play a minor arpeggio. Simple enough so far. Then you move up 2 frets, and you play another minor arpeggio. Using the C shape, it sounds like this. Then you move up 1 fret and play the major shape. Then you move up 2 frets and play the major shape. You move up 2 frets again and play a minor shape. Then you move up 2 frets again and play a diminished shape. And then you move up 1 fret and finish on the same major shape you started on. The order of shapes goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And the way that the steps move from the root goes like this. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now when I say whole and half, I'm referring to whole steps and half steps. A whole step, all that means is we skip over a note. So we go up 2 frets on the guitar. And by half step, that means we go up 1 fret, which is the smallest increment of movement we can make in this scale. So you can take any shape and follow this formula with it, and you will end up harmonizing the major scale with that shape. Another thing you can do with this is harmonize the major scale with chords. So let's say we're in the key of G, and we start on a major chord with our root, which is G. We play a G major chord. And then we move that up a whole step, which is 2 frets, so we're on the 5th fret of the E string, and we play a minor chord using the E minor shape. This is an A minor chord. Then we move up another whole step, which puts us on the 7th fret, which is a B, and we play a minor chord again, using the E minor shape. Then we move up a half step, which is 1 fret, and we play a major shape. This is a C major chord using the E shape. And then a whole step, and we play a major shape. This is a D chord using the E major shape. And then a whole step using the minor shape. This is an E minor chord using the E minor shape. And then we move up a whole step, play the diminished shape, and we end up with an F sharp diminished chord using the E shape. And then we move up a half step, major chord, we're back at our root using the E shape, a G major shape. So that's just how the major scale works, and that's how chords lock in with each other, and that's also how arpeggios lock in with each other, because arpeggios are based out of chords. So let's go ahead and harmonize the major scale using the E major shape. I'm not going to go in as much detail as I did the C, but we'll get through it. So start in the key of G, so we'll use our first finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and we'll play the E major arpeggio shape. This is our root, and it's major. Then we move up a whole step and we play a minor chord. This is A minor. Then we move up a whole step and we play the minor shape again. Then we move up a half step and we play the major shape. Then we move up a whole step and play the major shape again. Then we move up a whole step and we play the minor shape. Then we move up a whole step and we play the diminished shape. And then we move up a half step and we end up back on the major arpeggio in the root, G. So you put that all together and you just play it up the neck and down the neck using that pattern. And we'll do the exact same thing for the A major and A minor shape. Starting in the key of C, which is the 3rd fret of the A string, you play the major shape. And then you go a whole step up to the 5th fret and you play the minor shape. Go up a whole step to the 7th fret and play the minor shape again. Then go up a half step and play the major shape on the 8th fret. And then go up a whole step and play the major shape again on the 10th fret. And then go up a whole step and play the minor shape. You go up a whole step and play the diminished shape on the 14th fret. And then you go up a half step and play the major shape in the key of C again on the 15th fret. So that's how these shapes move when they're locked into one another. Now the next step is to put all of this to a metronome. The E and the A shape work really well with a metronome when you just play them back to back using triplets or 8th notes or 16th notes, but the C shape has an issue. Basically, since it has 6 notes in its group, when you play it ascending and descending, you either end up with 10 or 11 notes, which are very bad groups to work with. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So it's kind of awkward to throw that shape in because it won't end on a normal 4 or 6 count. One way to fix this is to add an extension, but I'm going to be doing that in the next video. The other way to fix this is to play that highest note twice. So you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So that's what we're going to be doing to play these shapes locking in with one another to a metronome. We'll be using the C major shape as an example with, like I said, 120 beats per minute. We'll be doing quarter notes and eighth notes and triplets. In this example, I'll be doing eighth notes at 120 beats per minute. I suggest doing this at quarter notes, triplets, eighth notes, and groups of 6, both using alternate picking and sweep picking. So let's hear how it sounds with eighth notes at 120. Like I said, the E and the A shape don't really have this problem since they have 7 notes to the group. So it ends up being this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you pretty much set yourself up to move on to the next shape in a standard beat. The E and the A shapes don't really lock together as well as the C major shape. One unique factor of the C major and C minor shape are that they individualize fingers. There's no barring involved when you're sweeping those patterns. So when you start adding in the A and the E shape, there's a lot of barring, and then you have to move up some frets, and it gets really confusing, and it's really hard to maintain clarity. So you can keep those around quarter notes and triplets and things like that. And you won't be seeing those shapes as often as you will the C, so you don't have to stress those as much. If you want an example of how all 5 of these shapes can lock together in a musical sense, check out my other video and get that down. Again, it's a really great exercise, not just for sweeping, but for all techniques.